So now we have the main event. We have Chaver Knesset Tal, we have Ambassador David Friedman in conversation. I'm Rabbi Tuli Weiss from Israel 365, and thank you. You know, my bar mitzvah was just a few weeks before the Oslo Accords were signed, so my entire adult life was under the cloud of the two-state solution. Now, for 30 years, we have all been Israel has been trying to give away parts of our land. 1 year ago, we suffered from these terrible attacks, and how does the world respond? The world responds with sympathy for our enemies, saying clearly, exactly like Chaver Knesset Tal said, Listimatem, the prophetic words of Rashi, you are illegal occupiers. For the past year, Israel has faced not only a military war, but a battle over our very legitimacy. Now, friends, there are two people who tonight and for the last year have stood up for Israel on the diplomatic stage and in the media and declared in the most articulate, clear manner, Kol haaretz shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu bara utana lanu, that the entire world belongs to God. He created it and He gave it to the people of Israel. Since October 7th, Chaver Knesset Ohad Tal has become one of the best known and most beloved Knesset members throughout the United States. In recent months, I've had the pleasure of traveling with him and accompanying Chaver Knesset Tal and his lovely wife Tamar, who is here, to New York City, to Washington, D.C., to Virginia, Miami, Florida, Dallas, Texas, and Nashville, Tennessee, where he has developed a deep understanding of American politics and the unique ability to communicate with American audiences. MK Tal's tireless advocacy has taken him this year to Australia, Sweden, Hungary, and Denmark, where he is not afraid to speak his mind, articulating in perfect English the case for Israel to both Jewish and non-Jewish audiences, so much so that the Matzav HaRuach magazine put him on the cover and called Ohad Tal a one-man foreign ministry for Israel. Joining Chaver Knesset Tal on stage is Ambassador David Friedman, the former and hopefully next representative of President Trump to Israel. And in addition to his many accomplishments, Ambassador Friedman has presented, finally, an alternative to the two-state solution, the two-state delusion, in his new book, The One Jewish State, which we hope will become policy following America's upcoming elections. Ambassador Friedman's bold, clear, and smart vision for Jewish sovereignty throughout Judea and Samaria has inspired me personally and Israel 365 so much so that we started a new party in the World Zionist Congress dedicated to pushing his ideas forward within the grassroots Zionist movement. When God willing, we gather here next year for the second annual Middle East Summit, and we will have already made great progress towards Jewish control over our biblical heartland. And it will no doubt be thanks to Hashem, of course, but also thanks to these two great Jewish leaders. Please welcome in conversation our main event, Ambassador David Friedman and Chaver Knesset Ohad Tal.
Thank you, Rav Tuli, for your exaggeration beyond anything I could even imagine. Ambassador Friedman, we don't have a lot of time. We had a very busy summit tonight, which again I want to thank everybody for being part of that. So we only have 15 minutes before we'll conclude. And I wanted to ask you, my first question was, when I planned to ask you a question, I wanted to ask you to take us to that day on June 23rd, 2020, in the Oval Office, when you're sitting with President Trump and Secretary Pompeo, and what happened there. But basically, you already gave that story earlier in the podium, so I want to ask you another question instead. Don't you think the time has come that the Secretary of State of America will be a guy with a kippah, who supports Jewish sovereignty in Judea and Samaria?
I'm not sure there's a security detail big enough to protect that guy. Look, when I was in government, I worked with Mike Pompeo, a dear friend of mine, Jared Kushner, a dear friend, Robert O'Brien, the people that I work with, and I think a lot of the people in America on that side of the aisle really get it. They really understand Israel. They understand its biblical majesty, and they understand its security needs, and they understand the importance of it in relation to the United States. I don't think the kippah is the key. I mean, it's certainly possible, and I would have no objection to that. America is divided into two camps. Unfortunately, only one half really gets this. The other half just doesn't understand it at all, and that's why these elections have such consequences.
You're right. I think these elections has unbelievable consequences, not just for Israel, not just for America even, I think for the world. But I want to ask you, because you presented your idea, and I think everybody here understand, and by the way, our mission, everybody sits in this room, our mission is to go out there to speak with people about it. Again, as Ambassador Friedman said, even if President Trump will go back, please God, will go back to the White House and endorse the plan, we still need Israel to say this is what we want. So our mission, each and every one of us, is to talk to people about it and to convince people that that's the right thing to do. But I want to ask you, because I think that if you would ask even the average right-wing voter in Israel, and you tell them, let's apply sovereignty in Judea and Samaria, I think most people, after 30 years of Oslo indoctrine, it will fill their heart with fears. They will tell themselves, just a second, you want us to be responsible for so many millions of Palestinians in Judea and Samaria? You want us to take care of their sewage? The world will never accept that. All these fears are coming. What would you answer to these fears?
Well, look, as I said, you can't do it overnight. I mean, it's complicated. I don't think it's risky. I just think it's complicated. There's a lot of logistical aspects of it which need to be thought through. And if they're thought through in advance and handled properly, I don't know what to be fear. If you're afraid of the world, I mean, look, if there's one thing that Israel has learned from October 7th is who cares about the world? I mean, really, at some point, the world failed Israel. I mean, to a large extent, America failed Israel, but certainly the world did. I mean, America may get a C minus. The rest of the world gets an F. An F. So you're going to obsess about what the world thinks? The way the world will come back to Israel is when they see Israel thriving, confident, secure, believing that they're fulfilling God's will. That's going to get the world back. Israel's not going to be able to beg its way back into the graces of the world. It's going to lead its way back into the graces of the world. And I think that's the only, and I think that's, those who worry about BDS and all those things, be strong, be tough, be resolute, be confident in your position, defend your position. And Israel's an important enough country. It makes enough important things. It's going to, in the future, because it's going to have to take responsibility much more than in the past for its own self-defense, for its ammunition, for its technology. Israel is going to be more and more of an important player in the world. At the end of the day, most of these countries are entirely motivated by self-interest. Nothing to do with morality, nothing to do with principle, all self-interest. And Israel, I think, is in a very good position to stand, among the nations, defend itself, and have good relations. I don't think that's, and we can't be afraid. I mean, being afraid is exactly the wrong way for Israel to move forward.
You think the Palestinians will accept this plan?
No, I don't. But that's this wasn't a. I didn't suggest anywhere in the book. I didn't put two signature lines in the book for Israel and the Palestinians to sign. It wasn't intended to be an agreement. It was intended that Israel will, on a particular date, at the right time, declare its sovereignty, act in accordance with it. Again, create facts on the grounds that are less threatening, not more threatening, to the Palestinians, and to move forward. And a lot of people have told this to me, and everyone here has their own experience with with people throughout the region. I don't need to ask Palestinians. They don't need to be forced to give up their dreams. If they have a dream one day of a Palestinian state, it's their dream. I mean, it's not realistic, but you don't need to force people to give up their dreams. That's not the issue. The issue is move forward with a plan, make their lives better, de-radicalize the Palestinians to the greatest extent possible, and hope that creates a better living circumstance. It may take a long time. And I don't guarantee, you can't guarantee the results, but at the end of the day, there is a substantial amount of Palestinians within the area who will say this, if you force me to accept Israeli sovereignty, and you force me to accept better roads, better highways, better commerce, better education, better healthcare, if you force me to take all these things, I'm not going to fight you. And I think that's realistic. That's the first step, and I think that's the way it will happen.
Do you think President Trump will win the elections?
Well, look, of course I do. Of course I do. And, we've never been even tied in the polls before an election. And most of the polls have us tied or in some cases ahead. So we're doing better than before. I think he's up against, of the three elections, this is clearly the worst candidate that the Democrats have had to field. So I'm optimistic about that. I think Americans are very much ready for a change. There's a lot of really serious problems. I mean, the immigration, the border, open border is a huge security risk for the United States. The economy is not burning up on all cylinders. Inflation is very high. There's a lot of, understand, for people here who think that, American politicians do nothing but worry about Israel. I mean, it's not true. I mean, I spend a lot of time on that, but the average American politician, I mean, this election is not going to be won or lost on Israel. It's going to be won or lost on domestic issues, and I think Trump has the much better domestic positions.
But still, in regard to Israel, if Kamala Harris will become the next president of America, what do you think will be the implications for Israel? I
think they're very dire. I just put out an article a couple of hours ago in the Jerusalem Post making the case why Trump is so much better than Harris, and I listed a bunch of reasons why. She doesn't have, look, number one, to really represent America generally, you have to be much smarter and more experienced. I mean, she doesn't have that. She doesn't have the skills, not particular as to Israel, but generally. I mean, you have to be quick, fluent in the facts, and decisive, and she's never done any of that stuff before. So that's sort of, flaw number one. Number two, you can tell that she is very sympathetic to the Palestinian cause. She goes to these campus events and she speaks on campus, and she validates the most vile claims, the most ignorant claims because for political reasons. So look, right now, I'm not talking, we're not talking about a month ago, 2 months ago. Right now, there continues to be a bottleneck in America delivering to Israel arms that were authorized by Congress, that were appropriated by Congress. Israel needs these arms, and they're not coming, okay? And, don't need to go into the details about what they are, but they've all been, earmarked for Israel by the Congress of the United States, which has the power to do that, and Biden and Harris are holding it up. Why? They think it'll help them win some more votes in Michigan. I mean, so there's no love there for the Jewish people. I mean, she can hide behind the fact she's got a Jewish husband. This is the worst example. I mean, this is a complete embarrassment to me that people see her husband as an example of forgetting about his personal life, which is abhorrent what he's done in his personal life. But he couldn't even tell the story of Hanukkah, at a Hanukkah rally. I mean, he got it all wrong. I mean, this is not somebody we ought to be relying upon. I'm very concerned about. I'm really just very concerned about what happens. Israel, I don't necessarily agree with. I mean, I don't agree. I mean, I think Trump is using a lot of hyperbole when he said Israel won't be here anymore if Harris is elected. Israel will be here. Israel will be here. They got a very strong country. They got amazing citizens. They got one of the best armies in the region, and they've got God. So that's enough of a combination to be pretty confident. But it'll be challenging. And when you think of that versus how much we can accomplish, we can get done within the region with Trump, it's just night and day.
Okay, just last two questions, and let's be honest for a second. I think that
I haven't been being
yeah,
honest about
I mean, we've been honest the whole time, of course. But I think even in the Republican Party, there's a group of what you call isolationists.
Yep.
Right, who thinks that America should not be the police officer of the world, and should think that America needs to only take care of its inner issues. Do you think President Trump will still stand with Israel?
I do.
To support, just a second, to support what needs what Israel needs to do in Iran.
I do, and I'll tell you, there's been a lot of, internal thinking about how that works. There's an isolationist wing. I think it came to life primarily because of Ukraine. Remember, Ukraine costs the United States billions of, 40. I think it's up to $80 billion, right? And there's almost nothing to show for it, right? America's funding Ukraine to play to a tie. What in the world is the purpose of that? Why would you want somebody to tie with far, far, far fractional amount of money of aid given to Israel? Israel's destroying its enemies and America's enemies at the same time. Israel's doing the work of the entire Western world, defeating radical Islamic terrorism. The whole world. At a fraction of the price. So all those isolationists, I mean, they may be isolationists, but they're not stupid. I mean, they understand the benefits. They see Israel completely differently than they see Ukraine. And they all see a very strong reciprocal benefit between the United States and Israel. They don't view support for Israel as being in conflict with an America First policy. They don't. I mean, we've been through this a lot. I mean, we had these discussions. J.D. Vance came in. He immediately, drew a distinction between Israel and everybody else, as President Trump. So I don't think it's a problem. There could be a retreat in other areas of the world, but not in Israel.
Last question. Do you think your plan is going to work? Is it going to happen? There's a lot of factors. Look, I would take issue with the word plan. I mean, plan sounds like, it's ready to go. Let's move forward. Let's put it up to a vote and move forward. It requires Israeli support. It requires American support. It requires funding. Frankly, it would be great if I could spend, a few months in Saudi Arabia and in the Emirates and really explain to this, because they would understand. They don't want to see, a Palestinian terrorist state in the region any more than Israel does, or any more than America does. We need to work a little bit more with Jordan. I mean, this argument is something that I think sells itself all around the world, but somebody's got to sell it. All right, it's just right now it's just sitting, in a binder of 200 pages between a cover and a back. So there's a lot of work to be done. I think the more we work on it, the more we'll actualize it, and I believe we can get there. I really believe I wouldn't have written it if I think we can get there. But it requires a lot more than you and I sitting here talking about it. It's a big lift, and we have to from here. And thank you. I should have started saying thank you for organizing this. People have been coming to me and saying. People come to me and say, thank you for organizing this. And I say, I didn't do a thing. I just showed up tonight. That's it. Ohad, you, and thanks to Tuli and Israel 365 and all the sponsors. I mean, this is a big deal. This is a big step forward in having this conversation. But we got to now expand it and extrapolate and do many more of these. And we have to do it with a broader crowd, a broader audience, a bigger spectrum of the Israeli population. And we have to do it with respect and love and understand that, I don't care whether you're religious or you're not. I don't care where you come from. Every Israeli right now, especially, every Israeli from every section of the society is defending the Jewish state, and we have to respect that, and we have to honor that, and move forward in a way where we can. I think we can make the case, but we have to make it with respect and with love. I agree with you. Before we'll conclude, I just want to take the last couple of seconds I have here to thank several people. First of all, to thank you guys. להודות לכל אחד ואחת מכם שבאתם לכאן. אני רוצה להודות לחברים שלנו בישראל 365 שהיו המסגרת שאפשרה את כל הדבר הזה להתממש. אני רוצה להודות לחברים שלנו באשדיר. איפה שוקי? שוקי כאן? יצא רגע. אז אני רוצה להודות לחברים שלנו באשדיר שבאמת עבדו איתנו יום ולילה כדי שהדבר הזה יקרה. אני רוצה להודות לכל המשתתפים בפאנלים שראינו כאן לכל אורך הערב הזה, אבל מעל לכולם אני רוצה להודות לבאים. גם לאותם אנשים שהזכרתי קודם בנאום, אותם אנשים שבאמת בצניעות מדהימה ובשקט ומאחורי הקלעים אפשרו לכל האירוע הזה, תמכו בנו ואפשרו לאירוע הזה להתקיים. אני רוצה להודות לאנשי הצוות שלי, שעבדו, כן, תמחאו להם כפיים, תמחאו להם, שעבדו יום ולילה באמת בחודשיים האחרונים, מאז שבאנו עם הרעיון הזה, יום ולילה, כולל בחגים, כולל בכל רגע נתון, כדי שהדבר הזה יקרה, ולכל צוות המתנדבים שהתרוצץ כאן סביבכם כל הערב, אז תודה רבה לכל אחד מכם. ואני רוצה להודות לך, השגריר פרידמן, על המנהיגות ועל החזון הגדול שאתה מציג כאן, וכמו שאמרתי קודם, אנחנו נעבוד קשה כדי להפוך את החזון הזה למציאות. תודה רבה לכם.
Can I just a public service announcement that first of all, I'm just so grateful to Salah Meir, the publisher of this book. They put it out, within a month after it came out in America. So they translated it. I hope they translated it right. I haven't checked. I hope it's right. But salahmeir.com to purchase Medina, Yehudit, Achat, or on, I think, beginning on November 1st, it's in all the bookstores. For those who want it in English, Amazon, One Jewish State, it's available on Amazon and in bookstores. So I hope you read the book, and I hope this becomes sort of people's talking points for the future. Let's get together again soon, check on our progress and see how we're doing. I hope, God willing, we'll make progress on all these fronts. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Friedman. תודה רבה, חבר הכנסת אוהד טל. מדינת ישראל נמצאת בתקופה היסטורית, ומי שנמצא איתנו כאן בכנס הזה זכה להיות באירוע היסטורי, אירוע של השקת חזון חדש שיכול להביא עתיד טוב יותר למדינת ישראל, לשכניה, למזרח התיכון ואולי אף לעולם כולו. אל תגידו יום יבוא, הביאו את היום. יחד נבנה כאן מדינה יהודית אחת, וברשותכם נסיים בשירת התקווה.